4 years, the Duggar family's image was carefully curated. Smiling faces, modest clothes, large family dinners, and faith-centered living. But behind the tightly constructed walls of public perception, cracks had long been forming. In 2025, the news that many had speculated about for years finally broke. Anna Duggar filed for divorce from her husband Josh Duggar. Hello friends, welcome to my channel. I am Elena and I hope you are well. If you like the video, please subscribe the channel USA Dramatic Show and press the bell icon. This revelation didn't just shake their marriage. It sent shockwaves through their community, the Duggar fanbase, and even critics who had been following the family since their TLC days. To understand the depth of this moment, one must go back to the beginning of Anna's life with Josh, the scandals that followed and the toll it all took on her spirit. When Anna Keller married Josh Duggar in 2008, she was a young bride full of dreams. Growing up in a conservative Christian family herself, Anna believed deeply in marriage as a covenant, not a contract. She smiled radiantly on her wedding day, convinced that Josh was the godly man God had prepared for her. The early years seemed promising. Anna and Josh settled into their life together, starting a family almost immediately. Within a few years they had multiple children. Mackenzie, Michael, Marcus, and more followed. Each child was a blessing, and Anna wore her role as a mother with pride. In interviews and TLC specials, Anna often referred to Josh as a wonderful husband and father. To outsiders, they were living the perfect Duggar script: faith, family, and multiplying blessings. But behind closed doors, shadows lingered. By 2015, the public began to see Josh differently. Reports surfaced about his involvement with Ashley Madison, a website for married individuals seeking affairs. The news broke like a tidal wave. Josh, once the shining example of Duggar purity, was exposed for infidelity and double standards. For Anna, the betrayal was soul-crushing. She was pregnant at the time and had to face the public humiliation while cameras flashed and headlines blared. Yet she stood by him. In a tearful statement, Anna admitted she felt broken but insisted that divorce was not an option. Her upbringing and personal convictions told her that marriage was forever, even if it meant enduring unbearable pain. The public was divided. Some admired her loyalty, others pitied her silence. But no one knew the depth of her private suffering. Josh's downfall didn't stop at infidelity. In 2021 he was arrested and later convicted on child pornography charges, a scandal so dark that it forever stained the Duggar family name. Anna was once again thrust into the storm. Pregnant with her 7th child at the time, she faced questions that no wife ever expects to answer. Would she stay? Would she protect her children? Could she ever trust the man she had once loved? Despite everything, Anna continued visiting Josh in prison. She brought the children, smiled for photos, and quietly insisted that she believed in his innocence. To many it seemed like blind loyalty. To her it was obedience, to her vows, to her faith, and to her hope that redemption was still possible. But deep inside, Anna's heart was breaking. Life as a Duggar daughter-in-law was already suffocating. Expectations were high. Appearances mattered, and voices like Anna's often went unheard. But now, as the wife of the most disgraced Duggar son, her struggles multiplied. Behind the polished Instagram posts and carefully worded family statements, Anna was raising 7 children essentially alone. The financial strain grew heavier. The emotional strain was unbearable. Her siblings reached out. Her parents quietly worried. Even Michelle and Jim Bob, once the staunch defenders of keeping families together, began to understand that Anna might not survive if she continued in this marriage. At night, after putting the children to bed, Anna would cry silently. Her Bible lay open, pages smudged with tears. She asked God for answers, for strength, for clarity. For years she had prayed for Josh's transformation. Now she prayed for her own deliverance. By 2023, whispers began spreading among close friends and even within Duggar circles. Could Anna really be considering divorce? For a woman raised in a world where divorce was almost unthinkable, it was a radical thought. But Anna had changed. She was no longer the naive girl who once believed her marriage would be a fairy tale. She was a mother of 7, a woman scarred by betrayal, a survivor of public shame. Every visit to the prison chipped away at her. Every letter from Josh pleading for her patience felt heavier than the last. She began asking herself the unthinkable. What kind of life would her children have if she stayed tied to a man serving years behind bars? Could she raise them in health and faith while constantly carrying Josh's sins on her shoulders? Was holding on truly faithfulness, or was it destruction? The turning point came in late 2024. Anna's eldest children, now teenagers, began asking difficult questions. Mama, why is Dad in prison? Why can't he come home? Will our family ever be normal again? Anna realized she could no longer shelter them. She couldn't keep repeating the same words, "Pray for your daddy," without giving them the chance to live free of the burden of his choices. That winter, Anna confided in her sister Priscilla. For the first time, she admitted she was thinking about divorce. Priscilla listened quietly, then simply said, "Anna, God hates what sin has done to your marriage. But he loves you and the children more than he hates divorce." Those words stayed with her. In early 2025, Anna filed for divorce. The announcement was quiet at first. Just a legal filing in an Arkansas court. But it didn't take long for the news to spread. Within hours, headlines lit up. Anna Duggar finally leaves Josh. Divorce shatters Duggar image once more. After years of scandal, Anna chooses freedom. Fans were stunned, critics were vindicated, and the Duggar family scrambled to respond. For Anna, it was both terrifying and liberating. She knew backlash would come. She knew some would call her disloyal, unfaithful, or weak in faith. But for the first time in years, she felt something she hadn't felt since her wedding day: hope. From prison, Josh's response was bitter. Through a statement, he expressed deep disappointment in Anna's decision. He claimed she was abandoning him in his time of greatest need. He reminded her of the vows they had taken. He accused her of listening to outside voices, instead of trusting in God. But Anna was unmoved. He had listened to Josh for too long. Now she was listening to the voice inside her heart, the one that said she deserved peace, her children deserved stability, and her life didn't have to be defined by his sins. The divorce wasn't just Anna's story. It was also the story of 7 children who had grown up under the weight of their father's choices. Each child reacted differently. The younger ones didn't fully understand. The older ones, though, felt the tension. Mackenzie, the eldest, admitted to her mother, "I'm glad, Mama. I just want us to be happy." Those words gave Anna courage. She realized that her children didn't need a perfect family image. They needed a mother who was strong enough to protect them. Filing for divorce was just the first step. Anna soon learned that the real battle unfolded in the courtroom. Arkansas law required her to outline custody arrangements, financial responsibilities, and visitation rights. While Josh sat behind prison walls, he still had legal representation. His lawyers argued for his parental rights, claiming that Anna could not erase him from the lives of their 7 children. Anna's attorney, however, emphasized the children's best interest. Mr. Duggar's conviction, his imprisonment, and the psychological damage caused by his crimes must be considered, the lawyer told the judge. Anna sat silently, hands folded in her lap as the arguments played out. She wasn't there to punish Josh. She was there to protect her children. When the judge awarded sole custody to Anna, with limited supervised visitation rights for Josh, she felt the weight lift off her shoulders. For the first time in years, she had the legal authority to shield her children from the chaos of their father's life. The Duggar family's reaction was complicated. Jim, Bob, and Michelle remained cautious in public, issuing a statement that they were praying for Anna and the children, while still expressing love and support for Josh. Jill Duggar Dillard, who had long distanced herself from the family, privately reached out to Anna with words of encouragement. "You're stronger than you think," she told her. Jessa and Jinger stayed mostly quiet, torn between loyalty to their parents and sympathy for Anna. The Keller family, Anna's side, welcomed the decision. Her parents, Mike and Suzette, reassured her, "You and the kids always have a home with us." The divide was clear. Some still clung to the Duggar way of saving face, while others recognized that Anna's survival depended on breaking free. Without Josh's income, and with no reality show money flowing in, Anna's financial reality was harsh. Bills piled up. Food, clothing, medical needs, school supplies for 7 children. It was overwhelming. For years she had depended on Josh or the Duggar family's support network. Now she had to chart her own path. She picked up part-time work at a Christian homeschool co-op, tutoring young children. She also started an online business selling handmade crafts and modest clothing. Every dollar mattered. Sometimes at night when the children were asleep, Anna sat at the kitchen table balancing bills, tears blurring her vision. Yet she reminded herself, this is freedom. This is worth it. The transition wasn't easy for the kids. The younger ones asked simple questions. When is Daddy coming home? Anna answered gently but firmly, Daddy made choices that mean he can't be with us right now. But Mommy is here. God is with us. The older children carried deeper wounds. Mackenzie, now a teenager, struggled with embarrassment at school. Michael battled anger, asking why his father had ruined their family. Anna encouraged them to express their feelings. She enrolled them in counseling, a radical step in Duggar circles where therapy was often frowned upon. Slowly, the children learned that it was okay to grieve, to question, and to heal. Anna's divorce became a media firestorm. Tabloids plastered headlines, Anna finally breaks free. Blogs debated whether she was courageous or too late. Social media lit up with hashtags like #StandWithAnna and #DuggarDownfall. Every trip to the grocery store, every church service, every outing with her children felt like living under a microscope. Strangers approached her with sympathy, while others whispered judgment. At times the scrutiny felt unbearable. But Anna reminded herself that public opinion didn't raise her children, she did. For so long, Anna had been defined as Josh's wife. Now she was simply Anna. She began small acts of reclaiming her identity. Cutting her hair shorter, something she had never dared to do before. Buying a pair of jeans even though she had always worn skirts. Joining a women's Bible study outside the Duggar-approved circles. These changes might have seemed trivial to outsiders, but to Anna, they were acts of courage. Each step said, I am more than the choices my husband made. I am my own person. Anna's faith had been shaken but not destroyed. For years she had been taught that submission and silence were holy virtues. Now she began to see faith as a source of strength, not a prison. One Sunday she stood in church as the congregation sang, Great is thy faithfulness. Tears streamed down her face. Not because she was broken but because she finally believed those words applied to her. God had been faithful even in her darkest nights. Her prayers shifted. No longer begging for Josh's redemption, she prayed for her children's healing, her own courage, and the wisdom to rebuild her life. As the months passed, the Duggar family's internal fractures deepened. Jim Bob continued to defend Josh, insisting he was misunderstood. Some siblings quietly supported Anna, though most avoided making public statements. Behind the scenes, however, alliances shifted. Jill, Jinga, and even Joanna reached out privately to Anna, offering support, babysitting help, and words of love. Slowly, Anna realized that even within the Duggar empire, cracks of independence were forming. By mid-2025, Anna had moved into a modest rental home outside of Springdale. It wasn't big or glamorous, but it was hers. The children helped paint the walls, unpack boxes, and plant flowers in the yard. For the first time, the house felt free of the Duggar shadow. On the first night in their new home, Anna gathered the children in the living room. They sat in a circle, prayed, and thanked God for their fresh start. Mackenzie whispered, It feels peaceful here. Peace, something Anna hadn't felt in over a decade. As summer arrived, Anna experienced small joys she had forgotten. Taking her children to the park without worrying about paparazzi. Sharing laughter around the dinner table without the tension of Josh's absence. Reading books for pleasure, not just devotionals prescribed by others. Her life wasn't easy. The struggles were real. But freedom, even with hardship, felt better than bondage with comfort. By fall 2025, Anna reflected on her journey. She thought of the girl she had been at 19, smiling in a white dress, believing in forever. She thought of the years of betrayal, shame, and tears. She thought of the 7 children God had entrusted to her. And then she thought of the woman she had become. Scarred, yes, but stronger than she ever imagined. Divorce was never what I wanted, she told a close friend one evening. But it was what I needed. For me. For my kids. For our future. The final step of Anna's journey came when the divorce was officially finalized. Standing outside the courthouse, she held the papers in her hands. The sun was warm on her face. For the first time in years, she felt like she could breathe deeply. She whispered a prayer. Lord, thank you for walking with me. Thank you for freedom. Thank you for hope. It wasn't the end of her story. It was the beginning of a new chapter. One where Anna Duggar was no longer defined by her husband's sins, but by her own resilience. The courthouse doors had closed, the papers were signed, and life, messy, fragile, beautiful, went on. 1 year after filing for divorce, Anna sat on the porch of her modest home, sipping tea as the Arkansas summer evening settled in. Fireflies dotted the air like tiny lanterns, and her children played in the yard. It wasn't easy. Bills still stacked up. Loneliness crept in at night. But Anna could finally say, she felt peace. Each child had their own journey of healing. Mackenzie, now 16, had grown into a thoughtful young woman. She wrote journal entries about her father, about shame, about hope. She told Anna, "I don't want his mistakes to define me." Michael discovered a passion for music, often strumming a guitar on the porch. Music became his therapy. Marcus loved sports, joining a local soccer team where he felt free from the shadow of the Duggar name. The younger children clung tightly to Anna, their world still small but secure in her arms. Through therapy, prayer, and open conversations, the children slowly shed the heaviness of their father's choices. Anna realized her greatest calling wasn't to preserve a broken marriage, but to nurture whole children. Every decision she made now centered on giving them stability. Choosing schools, setting routines, creating traditions of their own. Saturday mornings became pancake breakfasts. Sunday nights became family movie nights. The children no longer asked, "When is Daddy coming home?" Instead they asked, "What are we doing this weekend, Mom?" It was subtle but profound. They were learning that their family wasn't broken. It was simply different. At first, church had been complicated. Some members whispered, others judged. But over time, many rallied around Anna. Women dropped off meals. Neighbors offered babysitting help. One local business hired Anna part-time, allowing her flexible hours to be with her children. Slowly, she realized she wasn't alone. Her community wasn't perfect, but it was there. And for the first time in years, she felt seen, not as Josh's wife, but as Anna, a woman rebuilding her life. The Duggar family's silence grew louder over time. Jim, Bob, and Michelle rarely spoke publicly about Anna anymore. When pressed by reporters, they said, "We're praying for everyone involved." Behind closed doors, Anna knew the truth. They loved her children, but their loyalty to Josh would always remain complicated. Some siblings maintained quiet relationships with her. Jill and Jinger checked in. Joanna sent birthday gifts for the kids. But others drifted away, unable to bridge the divide. Anna grieved those losses, but she no longer begged for acceptance. In late 2026, Anna did something unimaginable. She spoke publicly. Invited to a Christian women's conference, she shared her story. Standing at the podium, hands trembling, she told the audience, "I thought faith meant staying silent. I thought being a good wife meant enduring anything. But God showed me that He cares about truth. He cares about my children's safety. He cares about me." The crowd erupted in applause. Women wept, some rushing to hug her afterward. That night, Anna realized her story wasn't just about survival. It was about giving others permission to break free too. Determined not to depend on charity forever, Anna launched her own small business. She began sewing modest clothing for mothers and daughters, selling them online under the name Grace Threads. The business grew slowly then steadily. Orders came in from across the country, many from women who had followed her journey. Each package she mailed wasn't just clothing, it was a symbol of her reclaiming her future. Despite progress, the past never vanished completely. Sometimes headlines about Josh resurfaced. Appeals denied, prison updates, old scandals rehashed. Each time Anna felt the sting. Each time she had to remind herself, that's his story, not mine anymore. The children still carried scars. Therapy sessions revealed anger, confusion, and sadness. Healing wasn't linear, it was a winding road. But Anna walked it with them hand in hand, step by step. Holidays became moments of reinvention. On Thanksgiving, they volunteered at a local shelter, learning the joy of giving back. At Christmas, they decorated their modest tree with handmade ornaments, each child contributing their own. On birthdays, they celebrated with homemade cakes, laughter, and small gifts chosen with love. Traditions that once revolved around Duggar gatherings now centered on Anna's home. It wasn't about grandeur, it was about love. Life's beauty returned in unexpected ways. Reading bedtime stories to her youngest and hearing their giggles. Watching Mackenzie smile again after months of struggle. Hearing Michael play worship songs on his guitar. Planting flowers in the garden and watching them bloom each spring. These weren't headlines or TV specials. They were ordinary moments, yet they carried extraordinary healing. One day, Anna received a letter from Josh. It was filled with apologies, pleas for forgiveness, and requests for updates about the children. She sat at her kitchen table reading it slowly. For years his words had controlled her. But now she saw them differently. They were ink on paper, nothing more. She prayed over the letter, then tucked it away in a drawer, not to dwell on, not to answer, but as a reminder of how far she had come. Anna began to think about the future. Not just surviving the present but leaving a legacy. She wanted her children to grow up knowing they were loved, valued, and free to make their own choices. She wanted them to break cycles of silence and shame. Her greatest prayer became simple: Lord, let my children's story be brighter than mine. By 2027, Anna stood stronger than ever. She wasn't rich. She wasn't famous. But she was free. Her children were thriving. Her business was growing. Her faith was no longer bound by fear but expanded by grace. On a quiet evening, sitting in her backyard under the stars, Anna whispered to herself, "We made it.